Momiji is Sohma, the peculiar boy you went to primary school with, the boy who turned into a bunny right in front of you. You had been playing with him and a few others. One female friend accidentally bumped into him, and when he turned, you took it upon yourself to hide his bunny form. Of course, no one but you knew he turned into a bunny, not even Momiji himself. The incident caused Momiji to leave school, and though you never saw him again, you never forgot about him or his secret. It was your first year in high school, and you still had never forgotten about Momiji. No one had noticed his disappearance, no one but you. You walked into class, and the first thing you noticed were a group of girls huddled in a corner. The next was the outstanding white and black hair that belonged to the boy they were surrounding. Most of the boys were either trying to ignore him or talk to him. Some girls still sat in their own little groups, but you sat alone. Until he walked in, short and stout as ever, Momiji Sohma, the yellow bunny. You stared at him for a long time. He caught you and gave you a smile. You looked away as fast as possible and tried to ignore his presence, but seeing as you've been fascinated with him ever since grade school, that might be a problem. The bell rang for lunch, and you stood to go to the bathroom. When you walked out, you tripped. You fell flat and looked around for what tripped you. Standing up, you dusted yourself off, embarrassed. "Hey, are you okay?" a boy asked, walking up to you. "I'm taller," you noticed. You smiled, guessing he didn't remember you, and said, "Yeah, I'm fine." "I don't think you saw this. You should watch out for them next time." He pointed to a door stopper that was not in the door. "Yeah, well, let's hope it doesn't." You laughed. "Right, of course." He was very bubbly. He was very adorable. But you still saw him as the knight in shining armor he pretended to play when you were kids. "I'm Mᴜsɪᴄ. Momiji." "Huh? What about his last name?" "Is that your last name?" "It's not, but that was respectful, and if he didn't remember you, then it would make you seem like a stalker to come out and say, 'I know that's your first name, want me to call you that?'" "No, Momiji is my first name. You can call me that. I feel as if in a past life we were close." He did something with his fingers, his blonde hair bouncing with him. "Oh, all right then. In a past life," you thought. "Call me Wyan." "Sure," he said, smiling brightly. "I was on my way to the toilet. Are you too?" He seemed nervous. You didn't know what else to describe him as. He looked away, airing out his shirt, a female's uniform you now saw. "Yeah, I was." He held out his hand behind his head and rubbed it nervously while sweat dripped down his forehead, and he smiled. "You're interesting, Momiji," you said. Then you leaned in, hands gripped behind your back. You narrowed your eyes and said, "I wonder what it is you're hiding." You stood back and walked in the direction of the toilet. You don't know if Momiji followed you, but you did know that what you did had psyched him out, which is exactly what you were hoping would happen. "Wyan," Momiji leapt from his desk and in front of yours. "What are you doing today?" "I'm going home," you stated plainly. "Want to come to a haunted house with me and some friends? It'll be fun." He beamed. "No, thank you," you smiled politely. His smile faltered, but he looked like he'd just been shot in the heart. He ran up to you and crouched to his knees. "Please, please, please, I'll do anything if you come." Why did he want you to go so badly? This wasn't abnormal behavior for someone like Momiji, but it was difficult to see why he'd choose you of all people to invite. There were plenty of other students here willing to skip their own birthday to go with him. You couldn't wrap your mind around it. After biting your lip and thinking about it for some time, you finally sighed and said, "Fine." Momiji almost hugged you. He jumped up and threw his arms around you for a hug, before you both pushed each other back. Knowing why he pushed you back, you weren't surprised, but his carelessness was troublesome. It had been that way since you were little. It's why he left school after all. He, however, did not know why you pushed him back, or that's what it looked like. Momiji had just confirmed something in his mind. It was a risk he was willing to take. If you were the same person from his childhood, the one who kept his secret, the one he'd never spoken to after that. Akito had been insistent on him moving away from a school outside the Sohma territory. Momiji smirked to himself. It didn't feel right, but he thought in this moment it was befitting. So Ian, have you ever been to a haunted house? He walked beside you, hands clutched behind him, leaning into a lolly position. No, not once. Oh, well, do you know what happens at a haunted house? You get haunted? Yes and no. Well, which one is it? You thought irritatingly, an irk mark appearing on the side of your head. Well, you get scared, but the people are alive. They're just meant to scare you for fun. Sounds fun, I guess? You nodded. So, who's going with us? Do you know Yuki Sohma? You thought about it a little. President Yuki Sohma? Momiji nodded with a bright smile. He's also referred to as Prince Yuki. You rolled your eyes, because of course he is. Do you know Kyo Sohma? You thought again. Nope, never heard of him. Is he related to Yuki? Yep. He skipped forward. Well, a girl named Toru Honda is coming too, and you know Hatsuharu from my class, right? He looked at you expectantly. I know Hatsuharu, but Toru Honda doesn't ring a bell, sorry. It's fine, you'll meet them when we get there. And we're here, he smiled. You followed Momiji up the steps of the mall. You were surrounded by people until you weren't. You came to a pit stop for mall pretzels, then continued up the escalator. I'm here, Momiji sang, and I brought a friend. The group turned. A boy with orange hair looked angry. His fists were shoved in his pockets, and he was leaning off to one corner. Another, President Yuki Sohma, smiled fondly. He waved and welcomed. Hatsuharu stood off to the side like the orange head. He looked as stoic as ever. Then a girl, brown hair, brown eyes, and ribbon in her hair, waved as well. I'm guessing you're Toru? You walked up to her and put a hand out. I am. You must be Wyan Ellen. It's very nice to meet you. She took your hand in hers. I'm Yuki Sohma, Momiji's cousin. You waved. President Yuki, Prince Yuki. You tried not to splutter out laughter. He blushed at that and turned away. Kyo-sama? You questioned. What? He barked. Whoa, you really are looking for a fight, aren't you? You murmured. Hatsuharu, from class. You questioned, but meant it more like a statement. Sup? Let's go in, Momiji shouted, running up to the counter. He was so adorable, you almost gushed. So, how do you know Momiji? Toru asked. We're classmates. You thought it might be fairly obvious, but didn't question her. Oh, right. Sorry, that was a dumb question. No, it's fine. You smiled. How do you know Momiji? I met him at work. She clearly recalled the memory vividly. Your heart hammered in your chest at the thought of Momiji and Toru being so close. That's, You were unsure of what to say, then, and suddenly Momiji clung to her arm like a child. Kyo's trying to kill me, he huffed. She smiled and drew him in, but so carefully it was like a mother's touch. She was incredibly gentle. You could hate her for it, but she was just so nice. You couldn't. I'll talk to him, she smiled. Momiji let her go when she walked forward. You continued staring at Momiji. Sure, he had no idea you were. Then, ever so swiftly, he turned his head and stared. It gave you chills. He was intensely calm, so sure of himself. It made you nervous. You looked away and tried not to make it obvious you were staring. Momiji slowly made his way next to you. You closed your eyes in some fear he was going to kill you, but he only whispered, Now I have you to myself. He leaned back. You opened your eyes and stared at him, clearly confused and flustered. He popped an innocent smile back, as if he'd done nothing wrong, but his eyes told all his secrets. I know I kind of messed up with the gender swap thing, Bobby. It was supposed to be neutral. I'm so sorry about that, by the way. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed either way. Goodbye, everyone.
He's never gonna make it. All the poor people he's forsaken.